My name is Herminia Vasquez, but for everyone I'm Nina. Yes. And I born in Chile. I came to Australia in year 87. I came as a refugee. In Chile, I used to be a nurse. I worked as a nurse for about 15 years, always in emergency. And the last 3 years, I worked as a volunteer for the Chilean Commission of Human Rights. In year 1973, 11 of September 1973, there was a coup d'etat. Militaries took power in my country. And strange things start happening. You didn't hear news. There was nothing on TV or on radio anywhere, but I was working in the hospital. So we received a baby one night that was dead. I left the doctor with the baby. I went to see another doctor, what he needed. When I came back, I found this doctor crying. I never saw a doctor crying. So I said, what's wrong? What happened? And he said, these people said that the baby fell from the stairs, but he didn't. They kicked him to death. And I thought, how about who? The parents? And he said, no, they are not the parents. Couldn't understand what was happening. I couldn't understand, Later on, I knew when the soldiers were killing a couple, they were killing the children too. Before the coup d'etat, we were just the happiest people alive because we were earning a lot of money that we never did before. There were so many changes that help us, the poor people, workers. In Chile, everyone is Catholic, but they go to church once a month, once a year. There is no church commitment. There is no activity in the church. Always, I was talking to the Lord. He was my friend. Always I was relying in the Lord. So, yes, but without any guidance. I wanted to read the Bible. And my mom said that I was crazy, that if I wanted to do something like that, I went to the priest in the church and I said, I want a Bible. How can I get a Bible? And he said, that the priest don't understand the Bible. How do you dare to try to read it? So I give up. But always I wanted to know the Bible, to read the Bible. Then in year 79, my son passed away. 78. And then I was looking for my dad. My dad left home. He was living by himself. He was an alcoholic. And I tried to look for him, to tell him that my son passed away. Couldn't find him. And next year, my mom died. She died because of the death of my son. And so we said, well, we have to find him. We didn't know what was going on, So for us, my dad just disappeared. When my son died, he was 2 years and I was 30. My father disappeared. Next year, my mom died. So it was, I was hearing stories of people around, There was this woman in the shop talking that her daughter was working in a defense ministry. She was a secretary there, and the day of the coup d'etat, that daughter didn't come home. So she went looking for her. She couldn't find her. They said maybe she was arrested. So she went to the stadium because it was full of people arrested. So she went there and they said, no, she wasn't there. There was another small stadium that was 5,000 people arrested there. So she went there and no, she couldn't find it. They said maybe they sent her to the south. So she went to the south. She went to the north. She couldn't find her anywhere. So she said 3 years passed by. And one day she was watering the garden and she saw this woman coming and she thought she was so dirty, so smelly. And we had every day 2 or 3 people coming to your door asking for a piece of bread because they didn't have anything to eat. So she saw that woman and she said, wait there, I'm going to bring you some bread. And the woman said, Ma'am, how you don't recognize me? Look, I need to cry. Then her daughter said that she was in a place she didn't know where, because all the time they had her blindfolded. And she was without shower for 3 years, with the same clothing for 3 years. Can you imagine all the things that happen to women in 3 years without being able to have anything? And then that day they took her and put her in a ute. And she thought, well, here they are going to kill me, because they took her outside of the group. And then suddenly they throw her out of the ute. The ute was running and they throw her down and leave her there. She heard there was a vehicles passing close by. So she started walking toward there. And she found out that she was close by to her house, that she needed to have a bus to go there. And the men saw the condition that she was, so she allowed her to go in the bus. And that's how she gets home. How things like that can happen. And then I start praying, my Lord, I want to do something. This has to stop. We cannot let this thing happen. Once and again and again, I heard so many things that happened. And I was just praying, and the Lord made me wait. What can I do? How can I help with something? And in the end, I started working for a political party, because they approached me and they said, do you want to do something? I said, yes, I want. And I didn't care which political party, just I wanted to do something to stop it. And they told me, well, you know that doing this job, you might lose your life. And I said, yes, I'm ready to lose my life. And a few months later, 7 people of this group got arrested. Among them, my brother-in-law. I had the secret police. We call secret police because they were plain clothing. So there was one man of them that came to my place, and the Lord with me always. I saw that man. He said that he was sent from my political party, that he went there to check if I was all right. And my Lord said, no, don't trust. And I thought they never will send me someone that I didn't know. He showed me a letter that the people that was arrested sent to another group that later on was arrested too. And when they arrested the second group, they got that letter in the pocket about me, that they were asking to go to my place to take things from my place. And he showed me the letter. And he said, do you have these papers? I said, no, I burned them. And he said, but they are important. I said, well, I saw in the newspaper that these people was arrested, and I was fearful. So no, just I lied to him. I lied. He asked me so many things. He was more than an hour. We had a round table in my house, and in the middle there was just one leg, but it was a sort of a cupboard. And inside there I had the paper. Oh my God. Just thinking in my son, what would happen to him? And he was in that time about 9 years old, 10 years old. Well, the man left, and immediately I went to the vicaria. Vicaria was an institution from the church. The cardinal organized that. And they had one sort of a wing where they had offices, and there was lawyers defending political prisoners, there was social workers, there was doctors, there was everything that we needed. The people that was in my situation, they would need. So I went there to talk to one of the lawyers, and I said, look, I had a very suspicious visitor. And he said, I got very, very bad news for you. He said, a letter that this man sent fall in the hands of the police. And I said, I saw the letter. And he said, we take you today and take you out of the country. And I said, are you taking me with my son? And he said, no. I said, no, I don't go. But they are going to go tonight and take you. I said, no, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to leave my son. Well, I went back home. I didn't sleep all night because we were in curfew. We were 15 years in curfew. So at night, there was no noise at all. The only vehicles that you hear, you knew that it was police, soldiers, or whatever. So any noise that I heard, motor, I thought, there they come to pick me up. No, they never came. The Lord protect me, The Lord protect me. How that happened, no one could understand. How come they didn't went and took me? So from there on, the lawyer said, well, now we are going to put you in the public eye. You're going to be working for human eye, right? You have to be known for as much people as possible. So if they took you, if they disappear you, these people could do a little bit something for you. So that's how I get working for human rights. So I have to work with the lawyers. I didn't know how to type. I didn't know anything about law. Nothing of nothing. But, the things that the Lord do, how He does things. They sent me to do a course, typing course. They bought all the material that I need for the job because my job was to unify. So I started making a list of political prisoners. Then I learned, all what I learned, that there was 42 years with political prisoners around the country. There was 1,000 of them. So I started making a list with all their names and how many days they were in torture. Everyone was in torture, everyone. How many days, who tortured them. They didn't know where they were, most of them, they didn't know. They put to them a sticky tape in their eyes. And after that, a rendition, after that hood that you see in the movies or wherever, the hood that came after that. So they couldn't see at all where they were. And we knew that there was houses of torture and all that. And after that, who vicaria is the military court. They were charging them in doing the process, And we thought that was very, very wrong because they were accused to do things against the soldiers and the soldiers were judging them. There was no impartiality at all, no justice at all. But it was a very big charge that you will belong to a political party. All of them were banned. So if you belong to a political party, that was one of the charge. And that means that you would be 3 years in jail because you belong to that party. If you were throwing flyers, you could be shot on the spot or you could be arrested for many years. If you were doing a writing on the walls, would be the same thing. But many people was arrested, and they were 3 years in jail without charges because they couldn't find anything to charge them in the end, just to cause fear, I suppose. The vicaria, they had lawyers. They were paying them. And but also there was lawyers in the Commission Chilean of Human Rights, but there was many of them. And there was another group called, I don't remember, something about the rights of the people. And they had lawyers too. So when I started collecting all the information about the political prisoners, I found out that the vicaria has the list of the prisoners that they were defending. And Chilean Commission has another list, and Codepo has another list. So I tried to put all that in just one list. And I started getting information. So I was with the bag with papers, going everywhere. For wherever I went, people was telling me, my brother was arrested, my cousin was arrested, in which jail it is, and who arrested them, and trying to get information in that way of all these people. There is one of the things that only blow my mind. I think, my Lord, it's so incredible. We were in a meeting with different people from different political parties, finding out what else to do about human rights. The only hope that we had was that the people in another countries could see what was happening in Chile and help us. So we thought that the people overseas was interested in human rights. So what we are going to do, how we're going to do. And we were in that meeting when somebody came running, a young boy, and he said, somebody killed a policeman 2 blocks away. So the soldiers are coming, checking house by house. And we thought we are going to be all arrested. So ran outside, I was with my son. I had my bag full of papers. Ran outside of the house, and there was a taxi standing there. I thought, what? I opened the door very careful. Can I get in? And they said, yes, just get in. So we went with my son and flew from the place. Just standing there. It wasn't passing by. No, it was standing there. Oh my God. And the only thing that I was, my God. I took Carlos and I came out, and there was the taxi. And that day I had money. Most of the time I didn't have money at all. But that day I had money to pay a taxi. I saw some people later on, but not all of them. And in that time, you couldn't know where people live, their real names, because it was dangerous. It was dangerous to know. In another occasion, we were arrested. There was a big thing. There was about 300 people there, and suddenly the police came and all of us arrested. They brought buses. In the buses, the women sitting on the seats, the men, they have to lie down on the floor of the bus. And we got to the police station, and there they had sort of a policemen in both sides, and we had to walk in the middle, one by one, and they were taking, because in there you got your ID card, your number of ID card said everything. So taking your ID card, and people arrested, sending to different police station, arrested. It was an old man there taking the things, and he said, who come with this child? For my son. It's my son. And he said, get out of here, go away. And another policeman said, we haven't had her, details. And the man said, no, there's too many people, just let her go. He hasn't finished, and I was on the street already, So Carlos got from there, got the idea that being with me, nothing will happen to me. Because he was born in this time of the dictator, so he never knew something different, I got all the information that I wanted. I got all the information of the 42 jails in the whole country. And so people was asking me for information, you know. For example, from Canada, they wanted to know all the political prisoners more than 50 years old, or from the university, all the university students that were in jail, then the medical college, how many doctors there were in jail. And I was giving all that information. And so the government wanted to stop me. So what they did is start following Carlos when he went to school. The man was following him and showing him the gun. So I thought, oh my God, they are going to kill my son any moment. What they did was run over the children, you know. So I thought they are going to kill him and I have to get out of the country. I tried to go to the Canada embassy, but it was too expensive to get the form to apply for the visa. So in Australia it was free. The form was free. So that's why I ended up here. You know, I was here in Australia, I think, about 3 months. And one day I thought, what I'm going to put in my head? I have no problem at all. What am I to fill my head with? And I thought, well, I have to fill it with English. I have to learn the language. Yes, Australia was so busy learning English, surviving. So I didn't go to church or eat, but for me always was my relationship with God was something that to me, you know, God was first and my relationship with Him. I went to counseling and this counselor said to me, come back to God. And I said, no, I promised myself never go back to church because I had a problem with a priest in Chile. And she said, but you don't have to go to the Catholic Church. Go to different churches and find one where you feel that this is my family, this is where I belong. And it was the Baptist Church in Sydney. And that day they said, do you want to do Bible study? I was like overjoyed. Oh, that's wonderful. And now I've been teaching the Word for 15 years. I've been doing Bible study here. Yeah. So when I went to Chile, I went in 2005 there to see all the ones that born after I came here to Australia. I make all my sisters to receive the Lord. So when they passed away, I was so happy because I knew that all of them received the Lord. They believe in the Lord. They pray all the time, but they never received the Lord in their hearts. My God is all. It's everything. It's everything. You know, I cannot understand how people can live without God. I cannot see how they can know what to do, how to do without the Lord. The Lord gives you the strength. I know that. I know that because many times when I was doing something, my knee were buckling, you know. I was throwing flyers and my knee were, but I knew that I had to do it. If the Lord is with me, who can be against?